Hey guys, this is Cholera SC, and I am bringing you Much versus July, Set 5 of Group A, the Group of Death, in the OSL Round of 16. And this is a must-win game for Much. He is 0-2 in this group. July is 1-1. Now, basically, we have a situation where Flash is 2-0, Bisu and July are both 1 apiece, and Much is 0-2. So, in order for Much to have a chance of leaving this group, the top two leave, he has to win this game, and Flash has to beat Bisu, in which case there will be a three-way tie of 1-2 records. If July wins this game, he'll leave the group unless Flash loses to Bisu. So a little bit confusing, but that's the way the OSL is. And this map is Medusa. How do you think these two players are going to do? By the way, I am casting with Diggity, so how do you think they'll do, Diggity?
Medusa's, man, I'm kind of curious on how this particular matchup is going to work. I really wonder if this is going to bring back some sort of Mutalisk 2-hatch, Mutalisk 3-hatch, Mutalisk sort of play. I just feel like Mutalisks could be very, very strong on this map simply because the way the secondary minerals are lined up as well. I guess it depends somewhat on the spawn point. Speaking of which, it looks like July is starting in red in the upper left-hand corner, and it looks like white for, well, actually, that's about the 10 o'clock position we have him in red. And white at the 3 o'clock position for Much. There's an additional spawn, that's where July's sending his Overlord right now. Anyway, but near Much's, basically Much's base, yeah, there's a big, basically a gap over the edge, and it's not as bad as I would say Blue Storm, but it's still, I feel like Mutalisks can be very strong above that edge. Drops also very strong. It's almost kind of a mix between Othello and Blue Storm in my opinion, somewhere in between, and so I'm very particularly interested to see how Zerg respond on this map. Anyway, and I'm also particularly interested to see how these two players are going to play. July defending his title, and Much, come on, Much. I know you can play a lot better than this, and I'm wanting him to advance to the next round. I do think it's very likely that Flash will beat Bisu, and it would just be fun to see a three-way tie, especially in this group of death.
Yeah, but I have to say, from my view in this game, this is going to be an easy game by July Zerg. I don't even think he has to play non-standard, to be honest, to go for that 2-hatchery build, 2-hatchery Mutalisk build, because he is so good against Protoss, and unfortunately for Much's weakest lineup is against Zerg. He's only 48% against Zerg, whereas July, I believe, is around 66% against Protoss, so huge imbalance here in terms of the respective race characteristics here, these players, and how well they play against each other's races. Although I agree that this map is a little bit like Blue Storm, in, as we see right here, this is the ledge that the probe's walking on. That is, if for the Protoss, that is what was very vulnerable. It looks like July actually taking an expansion behind his base. I think that expansion does not have gas on it. So interesting enough, taking the mineral-only expansion, this could only mean actually that he's going to double expand. He's going to pick up his natural expansion, which is at the 12 o'clock location, as you can see there, and he's going to be able to get that gas. So he's definitely anticipating that Much is going to go for the Forge fast expand, and indeed Much has gone for that. So July is going to try to pick up that double expand early on, get some economy, and whoa, a proxy gateway, proxy gateways, one proxy gateway, looks like it was a Forge going up, interesting enough, for Much on top of July's ramp, and it's a second Forge. What is going on?
I don't know what's with Much lately. This is the third time that Much is cheesed in this group. Maybe he's just not confident in this three-way group of death, and he's trying to get a Forge of drones off the line. He's basically blocked out those drones, I think, the way he's built them. He's blocked them out from the secondary. He's building cannons here in the meantime. The cannons should be able to take care of the probes. I don't think they're going to be able to get that. That's clever, putting up that Forge. Not even going to bother canceling that Forge. Sutton Colony going up in the backfield. But this might be actually successful. This is some very, very interesting cheese. Those drones are going to have to back up because that cannon is going to be finished just momentarily, and two cannons are going to be finished after that. No. Yeah, now they're going to have to back up. This is genius from Much.
Oh my god, that drone also got Manor sunken colony, I guess, and no, that sunken is not going to get up in time. I think Much may actually win this game very, very quickly, because that is the main base of July Zerg. July Zerg is in huge trouble here, but July actually, no, July gets some Zerglings out there, actually. There's nothing there to block for them. It looks like the Zerglings are actually going to take down the cannons. No, it looks like one more cannon just about to morph in. I don't know if it's going to be able to do it. Looks like it doesn't. Looks like the cannon comes in, so Much is holding right now, and I believe a Zealot will be coming out pretty soon for Much. He's building more photon cannons here. Absolutely incredible play for Much, and he actually has a cannon in his front base, so July actually had two choices there. He could have gone for the cannons like he did, or he could have rushed to Much's base and then try to finish him off before he could get finished off now, but now July is in a terrible position, I feel. He's throwing more Zerglings in. Looks like he's just about to take out that cannon, though. He will take on that cannon, and more Zerglings coming in. This is absolutely an insane game right now. I still don't see a Zealot coming out. That Zealot could make all the difference.
Oh, now there's the cancellation. So I still, even though well, it's a pseudo failure, I still feel like Much did a lot of economic damage. Zealot popping out right now, but Zealot's going to get absolutely destroyed here. He was able to disrupt some of the economy there. I'm going to say actually, wow, I'm actually not sure how to call it because I don't know how many drone kills were actually taken. I know that July's economy's been disrupted greatly at this stage, but Much is going to end up losing everything, and it looks like he's setting up for a fast expansion now, getting a fast expansion up, so it's almost like the game is resetting now back at this stage. I think July still's coming out ahead, but what's crazy to me is this is the third game in a row in this grouping that Much is cheesing. What is with Much and cheese lately? It baffles me.
I don't know. You're right. I mean, seriously, he's now like the cheesiest Protoss in existence. Let me recall for you guys, if you don't remember, Game 1 against Bisu, Protoss versus Protoss, Much, one base carriers. Game 2 against Flash, Much, proxy gateways. When that fails, he goes proxy robotics facility. When that fails, he goes two Stargate, two base carriers. And now he's gone for the proxy double forge with cannons. Just absolutely ridiculous. Looks like Flash actually, no, not Flash, rather. July now, about to take his second natural there, or his actual real natural expansion, pick up that gas. And you're right, Diggity, this game has reset itself a little bit, just like the last game, Much versus Flash. After Flash took down Much's proxy gates, it actually was reset for a while. And at this point, I actually can't say that one player or another is ahead. In fact, Much might still be slightly ahead right now, because he's going to have a little bit of a tech advantage. Only now is July getting his gas up.
Yeah, July trying to get that third base. He needs to get something to deal with. The Corsairs are going to be out fairly quickly. I think he does have a Overlord spot, so my guess is he's going to put down that Hydral Sim. The question is what does he do now? I mean, his game plan has to be completely disrupted at this stage, and it's just confusing what Much did there. And I'm certain maybe Much is just trying to establish himself as kind of a off-balance player instead of playing, just because the Protoss versus Zerg matchup in particular has been so difficult, just playing and actually it's been the full spread. This is a Terran, a Zerg, and a Protoss now, so I don't know what's going on in his head, but it makes entertaining StarCraft, I'll say that. I wish some more of it had actually been successful.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my lord! What did he just do?
That was some awesome micro right there.
Oh my god, Much knows his map like the back of his hand. I don't know how much practice he's been doing, but he knows he needs to win this game, so he's figured out a way to trick that probe in using super elite cheater pylon trick there, getting his probe in through the giant lost temple there. And what the hell was that? And in fact, you know, the initial proxy cannons there were actually positioned perfectly. I really think Much must have practiced this against other Zergs, because that forge placement, I mean, now that I think about it, was to obviously block the drones from taking it down. And you know, had July not spotted it immediately, that would have worked. And had July not responded perfectly by bringing those Zerglings in, he would have lost almost all of his drones, or at least lost the capacity to mine for a long time. So Much certainly bringing his A game, I have to say, and it's definitely tricky StarCraft here that we're seeing from Much. It's almost like pulling a July, as July did against Best in the OSL finals, where July went for crazy builds and really caught Best off guard.
So it looks like finally Bisu. God, we're all off on this game because of that early cheese, guys. So July is settling into a 4-hatch build. Much is now somewhat pinned in his base, and I think that Much has just been frustrated against Zerg lately. He ended up getting knocked very handily out of the OSL last season by July, so a little bit of redemption, I guess, that we've missed. Looks like he's going to get some shots off at that Overlord to the south if he can find it. But yeah, in the meantime, it looks like July, it's turning into standard Zerg versus Protoss, which has been kind of hurting for a while now.
Going for early Spire, probably just for the Scourge, and now we're seeing Much move out here with a couple of Zealots just to clear his front door a little bit. We'll see whether July decides to stick with some kind of air attack, or if he's going to go for Lurkers, which would be a little bit standard here on this map. What do you think is the best plan for Much right now? Continue with some very strange build, or just sort of play standard, pick up his Templar Archives, and try to push out from there against July?
Yeah, I think the best course of action is simply, get your Dark Templar out, try to establish your third base, play from there. Don't try to do anything crazy anymore. Just, do exactly what he's doing right here. Go clear the Zerglings while you can. He's going to push July off, and now go take an expansion. In the meantime, wow, July is not paying attention to his overlords in the backfield. It doesn't look like he has any Hydralisks in position to defend there. He's too distracted with those Zerglings pushing on his front door. He's going to have to get some Sun Colonies down because that's a lot of Zealots that Much has produced on the field. He's pushing out right now with a, I should say, actually, yeah, I can't say this is standard. And they're speed upgraded. So Much switching into a speed upgraded Zealot attack. Remember seeing that Templar archives in the background. I just assumed he was going Dark Templar. Shame on me. You know what happened? You know what they say about assumptions? They're bad. And attacking that front door and those drones all over, manages to get the Sun Colony down. So I think he has weapons one in that mix there. Maybe not. I didn't see the Forge spinning, and honestly, he had his Forge at a disparate location for a lot of that. More Zealots pushing in. He might be able to get the second. He gets the second Sun Colony down. So July in a bit of trouble here. Drones just left in defense, but there are lurkers in the backfield. So that is going to be the saving grace for July, having lurkers just in the nick of time to save. Oh man, save his base. But oh no, the Zealots managed to sneak by the lurkers. 3 Zealots managed to pin through. Fortunately, Zerglings. Oh man, manlots. Yeah, at least the Zerglings are going to be able to clean it up, but I don't know if it's even enough because there's still 3 Zealots in there. They're still going to be able to do a decent amount of economic damage here.
Those are manlots. They're seriously, Reach once again strikes, and Reach has borrowed much some more of his Zealots. Oh, it looks like the drones are going to pick off the Zealots, but not before the Zealots have seriously disrupted basically everything that July was planning. But July's actually got Mulisks out, so absolutely insane battle here. +1 Zealot legs rush here, but now he's going to have to pick up a couple more Corsairs, though, because there are Mulisks. Looks like Much is going to try to do as much economic damage as possible with the manlots there. Three bases all under attack here by a couple of manlots each, and looks like we're going to see at least some drones go down. I'm not sure exactly how many have gone down, though. Much seems like he's not paying attention, unfortunately, even though those Zealots are incredibly manly, and certainly I did not expect the Zealots to do that much damage to the front door there.
That was just awesome, running straight over the lurkers, just absorbing the shield damage, and then running right into the drone lines. July's economy, it just has to be completely disrupted at this stage. All 3 bases under attack. Now a bunch of Mulisks incoming, so Much actually had to pause a second and instead of building additional troops, needed to put some cannons down. He is going to be somewhat shielded against this attack. I don't know if the cannons are going to cover all of his tech, unfortunately. Morphing Archons in the meantime to try to assist against those Mulisks. Looks like, yes, that Stargate, that Citadel, and the core. Basically, all of Much's tech at this stage are locked in. He might be able to take all these Mulisks out, though, with the flank attack. And again, July somehow has some minerals somewhere to macro up another grouping of troops. So Much, it looks like he's doing okay on the macro end as well, but this is just an insane game. Much playing very wild and very aggressively.
Yeah, I have to say, aggressive is Much's game right here. I mean, the Vampire Toss knows it's all in here. He's going to have to do something to get the blood he needs, and Jesus, what it has been so far. And certainly, oh, and here we go, another rush here coming from Much. Skipping Templar entirely and going straight to Archons here. So 3 Archons and a huge amount of speed lots against Lurkers. Not the best army against what July has, but it's the army he has. You know, you go with the army you have sometimes, or so our Secretary of Defense once said. But here we go, though. Much pushing in, and July now in retreat. He's going to have to defend that choke once again.
Wow, and I don't think Much is even going to bother worrying about establishing a 3rd base, worrying about playing any sort of economic game. He wants to end it, and he wants to end it now. He really wants this game. That is a huge amount of Hydralisks, and he has no High Templar to really deal with, though, in the meantime. They're just basically the Archons to help deal, I guess, and just pushing up, and Archon walls like that are beautiful. This is why I would be an Archon if I could be one StarCraft unit. Giant balls of fire pushing forward against your enemies. How awesome is that right there?
That is awesome. I still think I would be a Wraith because they are just more popular with the ladies, and whereas Archons are just 2 giant Templar, but that's okay. Looks like the Archons still doing tremendous amounts of damage, and the problem is there's not enough Lurkers, or it looks like no Lurkers left for July, but no, looks like July actually finishes off the Zealots, but those 2 Archons in the back have gotten so many drone kills. It's absolutely insane. Looks like Much actually is breaking through. Oh my god, how did he break through against so many Hydralisks without a single storm? I just don't understand. And it looks like he's running away these Archons, which are very low on shield. Of course, that's all the real hit points they have. And looks like July might be able to pick off all the Archons, but not before losing almost all the drones as natural expansion. And July is hugely behind. Much could pick up an expansion easily at this point, and he's done just irreparable damage to July at this point. So it's really Much's game to lose, I think.
Whew, and it looks like he's just establishing the defensive baseline. Now he's grabbing the expansion just to the south, pushing up again, doing an excellent job. And that's what I talk about, Archons, balls of fire. They're just, they're Zerg's worst enemy, in my opinion. They're just pure energy. So sexy. Look at them. Look at them. Look at them run out. So graceful. Anyway, Just hover right over the mines. How can ladies not love that? Anyway, just July desperately trying to pick off that High Templar. He knows that High Templar is going to be the key to basically breaking through, and it looks like he's going to come up for not a suicide attack, but basically an attack to try to break much. I don't know that he has the troop composition to do it at this stage with just the 2 lurkers, and a lot of Storm looks like it's been stored up between those 2 High Templar. I don't know how long they've been out, but I know they've at least got a Storm each, and July, that was why July was just so desperate, and Dragoon's been produced to help deal with the lurkers alongside. There's the Storm as July was pushing in position, and that just really hurts.
Yeah, all those Hydras are complete weaklings now. I don't see any upgrades up for July yet, actually. Looks like July actually trying to break through the temple there. I think that if you break the temple, you can actually get into the natural expansion. Not exactly positive about that. Looks like, wow, July is just going to have to retreat just a handful of Hydralisks, and looks like those lurkers are not going to do anything in this battle. In fact, they were busy trying to kill the temple, and really, that is not good at all for July. Do you think July would have been better off making more lurkers in this game instead of just going all Hydralisks? I was a little mystified why he had so many Hydralisks and yet so few lurkers. Could it be because he's been working off of just 2 gas this entire game? He picked up the second gas quite late also. Yeah, so
where's his gas bin? And every single time that Much is marching in his base, the very first thing he's gone after every single time has been the drones on the gas. They're just he hasn't been able to keep the drones on gas. He doesn't even have the Overlord speed upgrade, as you can see. He doesn't have the Overlord alongside to help pick that. Oh, beautiful storm of the lurkers there. I love seeing Much play. This is what I talk about. Much potential here. Much potential. Just completely decimating July's force. I love July too, but I really like it when I see July play, or I should say, when I see Much play a very good game. And right now he's playing a very, very good game.
Yeah, this is I have to agree, this is an insane game here, how well it's being played, really by both players, but I just have to commend Much so much for unexpected, and looks like it is going to be a win, an unexpected win against July, the master of Zerg versus Protoss play. Much now, that one Archon, as you say, Hero Archon, is going to pick off so many drones. Yeah, and this is going to be a game here, massive wall of Dragoons and Manlots and Mancons coming in, and there's no such thing as man Dragoons, by the way. Dragoons are just never really that manly. Sorry, but it's either Manlot or Mancon, and we've seen both in this game. Much is going to win this game. July is going to be 1-2, and Much, okay, GG coming from July. So tell us what this means about the rankings. Much and July are both 1-2, and Bisu, who's 1-1, is going to face Flash, who's 2-0 in the final game, Game 6 of this group.
Game 6 is going to be so huge. If Flash can beat Bisu, we're going to see another set of epic matches between those 3 players. And I really hope to see that, because at that stage I really don't mind. This is actually the worst group for me, because this is all players I like. This is all players that we know can play well, and it's all players I want to see advance. So just seeing a playoff, I honestly think a playoff would be appropriate between 3 players, and I do think that Flash can beat Bisu. Bisu, in my opinion, his weakest matchup has always been Terran, and honestly, Flash is just playing extremely dominant. Especially, well, he's picking up recently, showing his old form here. Hopefully he'll beat Bisu, and we'll be able to see the 3 masters just fight it out.
Now, do you think there's any chance that Flash will throw the game against Bisu? Because if he throws the game against Bisu, Flash and Bisu advance, and there is no runoff. Do you think there's any chance Flash would throw it to either try to avoid Much, or more likely to try to avoid July later on in the OSL?
I would say if Flash was 9-10, or if Flash was, well, actually no. Let me go with a lower status player. I would say if Flash was even 4GG, where you worry a bit about a particular matchup, where you're saying maybe I'm not very strong against Protoss, and you want to get rid of Much, for example. I could see that happening, but I don't think that Flash is really concerned about any of these 3 players in the long run. He's just going to go tearing through his competition. I think July has that exact same attitude. If there's a game in front of you, you're going to win it. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. So yeah, I can't see, but I do have to say this is one of the reasons I don't like the OSL group stages as much as I like the initial MSL group stages, simply because I feel like there's a lot of throwaway games. Who's your pick, actually, if there was a 3-man playoff? Who do you think would come out of that?
I have to say, the way things are looking, July still has my money for leaving the group. Although Bisu certainly has been playing stronger, Much has just been creating crazy this game. But I think honestly it would be a match between Bisu and July. I mean, honestly, this game was insane. But Much has just this propensity of starting off going for the cheese builds and putting himself behind significantly when he really doesn't necessarily have to, or certainly not necessarily even called for. And if he's going to continue in a three-way tie, should there be a three-way tie, I just see the other players just getting completely ready for any kind of cheese and much just getting defeated. So, and between July and Bisu, I'm going to put my money on the OSL champion July. And I do say, though, Flash might have a reason to want to eliminate July, though, from the competition. If he loses on purpose, or, whatever, doesn't play his A game, and Bisu wins, then July's out. Yeah, then July is out. The OSL champ is out, and that's not a worry anymore. But I agree, though. I don't think it's in his personality, and it certainly would be bad for the sport of StarCraft if he actually did throw the game.
And Flash, actually, when you keep in mind that is a strong, if it were a lesser person or a lesser player, I would say that would definitely be something that you'd have to keep in mind, because keep in mind Flash established himself actually as the cheese kid when he knocked Bisu out of the OSL all those seasons ago. That was originally how basically everybody knew him. Everybody hated Flash for quite a long period of time because they felt he was an inferior player to Bisu when Bisu was essentially at his height and had knocked Bisu out. And he's always been, actually it's interesting in this grouping because I really feel like both July and Flash have been thorns in Bisu's side. So he was the one really with something to prove out of this grouping. Much obviously needs to get himself a championship if he's going to call himself a top Protoss. July's got an OSL championship. Flash has already dominated the top rung, so it's just kind of, and I guess Bisu technically, he's had the championship, it's just kind of returned to form. But I feel like those three players are all established. So much in Bisu with both the rivalries and also something to prove. So I don't know, in a three-way playoff, I think that would just be some epic matches because the players would just so much on the line, and the players are just going to want it so bad.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm personally, I agree with you. I'm excited. I want Flash to win, so he 3-0s his group, and then we'll see that three-way tie. But anyway, I think it's about time to move on to the next game. I don't have anything more to say. Do you, Diggity?
Nope, not really. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, and stay tuned for the next game, which will be another PvZ. It will be The Rock, and he's going to be cooking GG play. See you guys soon.